Shiur is dedicated to Nishmas Rachalei Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi. We've been discussing Hilchos Muktza, and in the last year we opened up and we started to introduce a fairly complex area of Hilchos Muktza. That's the topic of basis l'davar ha'asur. And just to review what we ended off with last time, again, a basis in general, if you put something that is a Muktza machmas gufo, it's inherently Muktza, and it's placed on an object to be there for the entire duration of, we'll see, Bein Hashmashos, all of Shabbos, but you place it there on a base, a basis, so then the basis, the base, absorbs the status of Muktza of the Muktza machmas gufo. That's called a basis l'davar ha'asur. We explained in the last year that the rationale for the Yisur of basis, the reason Chazal said that a basis is also Muktza, is because when you place something on a base, when it's placed on a base, so indeed you're essentially making a statement. You're saying that I'm mekatze das, I have no intention of using this base on Shabbos. If I put, as we mentioned in the Mishnah in Masechet Shabbos, even al pi hachavis, if you take a stone and you place it on a barrel, so if you do so before Shabbos by placing it on the barrel, so you're essentially making a statement that you have no intention of using that barrel on Shabbos. After all, you put some muktzah on it, now you can't access the barrel, you can't move the barrel is essentially locked up by that muktzah, so therefore you are mekatze das, the barrel loses its status of a kli for Shabbos, and becomes inherent muktzah. That's perhaps why the Mishnah Masechet Shabbos Kuf Mem Beis Beis tells us that when it comes, and the Gemara following, when it comes to the Even al pi hachavis, the only time that it's going to really be a basis is if the Even is b'meiniach, is placed there with intention. It's placed there. If it's merely shachach, you left it there accidentally, so then you did not express anything in your das to not use this barrel on Shabbos. Only if it's b'meiniach, you place it there on purpose, do you make that expression of mekatze das. That establishes the chavis is being muktzah, not so in a case of shachach. If it's shachach and you want to use the barrel, so the Mishnah tells us, tilt the barrel, mata al tzida. Or if it's bein hachavios, lift the barrel and then tilt. The barrel's not muktzah. You can handle it, you can move it. You have a problem with the stone, but you can move the barrel. Only in a situation where it's meiniach, if it's placed there intentionally, then you have that phenomena of the creation of a basis. The item loses its status as a kli, you can no longer move it, it becomes inherently muktzah. And as we went and started to introduce the sugya, so we pointed to a very, very interesting tosis in Maseches Beitza Daf Beis Amud Aleph, and here the Gemara has the following halacha. We know that atzamos uklipin, bones and shells, are typically inherently muktzah. They have a status of muktzah machmas gufo. The reason being because they're not edible. Shells are certainly not edible, and bones, the bones we're talking about, are not bones that are edible to common animals in the area. Dried out bones with no meat on them, even perhaps an animal, a dog, would not eat them. They are inherently muktzah. So if after you have your suda, you have a table full of bones and a table full of shells, what exactly are you supposed to do with them? So the Gemara tells us, Beis Hillel Omrim, Misalek es hatavla, kula umenara. What you're allowed to do is you can take your table, the tavla, used to eat on these small trays, you pick it up and you are mena'er, you tilt all the shmutz off the table, and that's 100% fine. That is the statement of Beis Hillel. So comes along Tosfos, and Tosfos, Divrei Masul, Ubeis Hillel, tells us the following, Tema. This is strange. Falahu basis l'davar ha'aser. This looks like a case of basis, because after all, delo shachach. This is not a case of shachach. You didn't accidentally leave the bones and the shells on the table. Hinichem shamidato. You put them there on purpose. They were placed there to be there on purpose. And once you place them there on purpose, so then the table ought to become a basis l'davar ha'aser. This is the question of Tosas, and we pointed out in the last meeting, in the last year, that Tosas gives us three answers. And we started off with the last answer. The last answer, Tosas Mechadesh v'od, de'ein ze meniach bekavana, de'ha'ena choshesh heichan yiplu. This is not considered to be meniach. That's not called meniach. What does meniach mean? Meniach means when you place them to be in a certain locale on purpose, you want them there, specifically there. You put them in a given location, bekavana, b'meiniach bekavana. When it comes to these bones, So you cast them down on the table. You couldn't care less where they fall on the table. You just cast them down on the table, and wherever they land, they land. That's not considered to be b'meiniach. When you want something there specifically, because you want it in that particular locale, that's the definition of meiniach. Otherwise, says Tosas, this has a status of shochach. It is not considered to be meiniach. So we see from this line in Tosas a very, very important halacha. And that is that the definition of shochach and meiniach is not so simple. Meiniach, to place. Shochach, to forget. To place accidentally. But there's a lot of room in between. Tosas already tells us if you just cast it down, you don't care heichon yiplu. Where they fall, that's not considered to be meiniach. That's considered to be shochach. Where exactly do you draw the line in this area? So first of all, we have a number of indications, a very important Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah, for example,